After 7 long weeks stuck in our house,
Nowhere to go?
nowhere to go, it wasn't safe. We didn't want to be part of the problem. We, like many of you, were like, how the heck can we get out of here and still be safe and not contribute to the problem and play by the rules of each state? But by golly, so far, we're pulling it off.
It changed, what, 9 times? Our itinerary, where we were going, when we were leaving.
I lost track.
It just kept moving, but that's what you had to do in these times that we're in. So.
Yeah. And not to say that everyone should attempt it, but let's talk about where we are, how we got here, and how we're pulling it off. Pandemic Camping 2020. So let's start off talking about where we currently are. We're on day 6 into our journey, and we're going to cover how we got here. But some of you may recognize this highly unusual, windy topography as the Badlands in South Dakota. Really cool place, and we're able to disperse camp here, which means we're not in a campground. We are very much socially isolated. We're completely self-contained within our RV, and yet we have this awesome change of scenery to take in.
We went from Charlotte to Nashville, and we had to stop over in a KOA in Nashville to de-winterize and fill the tanks up. So unfortunately, it wasn't contact-free check-in. So Amy gloved up, masked up, went in. They did a pretty good job. So we got the rig de-winterized, we filled the tanks up, and then we headed out the next day, chasing, trying to avoid some weather, to Kansas City. And we plan on spending a couple of days in Kansas City, which we don't normally do, but we are this time because there's something there that I've been dying to try.
Global Pandemic Camping 2020. There's a memory for us. Let me tell you where we're not. We're not where we were supposed to be right now. We're supposed to be knocking about through Oregon for a month, backcountry woods, exploring cool towns like Bend. We're not seeing Bob Dylan and Nathaniel Rateliff in concert. Ouch.
That says it all.
Probably ever, if we're honest about it. We are not spending a week in Yosemite. Even though we trained hard for some great hikes there, this is where we're not. So where are we?
We are on our way to get some Joe's Kansas City barbecue.
This is pretty much the same thing.
Every time we've come through Kansas City, and it's been several, I'm like, hey, I once saw Anthony Bourdain say, you got to go to Joe's Kansas City barbecue. I got to get some. Never gotten it every time we've been through here.
Anthony Bourdain wasn't towing a fifth wheel
Okay.
when he was in Kansas
Fair enough.
City. So you're not going to maneuver downtown Kansas City while towing a fifth wheel.
So we're not going to get the full gas station experience.
No.
However, I'm going to take what I can get. At least I'm going to try this barbecue. Hey, Jim W.
Different world. You drive through. They've got tents set up. They're about 12 feet apart. I had the mask on. I was gonna interact with them with the mask, but we were so far away. I pulled the mask down to actually talk to them. But now we're waiting for them to come out. It's a different world. We're just all gonna have to get used to it.
We got up really early the next morning to hit the road because it was a 9-hour haul. That's regular time. In case you don't know, with RV, you got to add on to that because your stops take longer. 9-hour haul from Kansas City to this dispersed spot here in the Badlands. We didn't stop. We have our own food. We have our own bathroom. We only stopped for fuel. And when we did that, we have a whole entire process of not only trying to prevent us from getting sick, but to help prevent the spread for others as we go.
anyone that knows South Dakota knows that it's pretty easy to social distance out here. And there's some epic boondocking spots here in South Dakota. There's one that's almost in the Badlands. I've seen thousands of videos. It's almost become a rite of passage when it comes to boondocking. We're going to try that one this time. We're going to see if we can spend a few days. So we're heading there now. Hopefully we can, there'll be a spot, but like I said, there's plenty of boondocking spots around here. But we're going to try to find the spot.
Something you need to consider before you take on traveling during the pandemic: what's open and what's closed. This is really tricky right now. There are sites like Campendian that are updating as best as they can, but check with each individual state. Montana, for example, still not allowing out-of-state visitors in, so you want to be respectful of that and not get in trouble. Check before you go. The Badlands National Park was a really great place to be able to visit during the current restrictions. First of all, the entry fees are waived, so you are able to just drive through. It is not crowded here. I can't speak to all the national parks, so do a little online investigating before you choose to go anywhere. But the Badlands National Park has a 24-mile loop through it, and there's some small hikes off of that. Stopped, looked at wildlife, got out, took pictures, didn't run into any crowds, no disrespectful behavior. It's a really good situation for what we're trying to pull off during this time. You need to keep your eyes peeled for rattlesnakes. So I say eyes and ears. But I'm assuming, like most snakes, if you make a lot of noise, they're going to get out of your way. What do you think, Lex?
I've only encountered a snake once in my life, and I thought I was going to faint, so I can't say.
Okay, so let's hope we don't have any fainting encounters today. So let's talk about pros and cons of dispersed camping. I'm going to kick it off with the obvious pro. It's very easy to socially isolate when you're not in a campground.
And these amazing sceneries you just don't get in a campground.
No, I mean, occasionally you can find campgrounds that are exceptional on the coast. I know we covered one in Asheville that was pretty amazing. But to really get out here in it, you need to be unrestricted outside of the campground. So that's your very first obvious number one pro. What's another pro, Tim?
You don't have to have any reservations. You just go and find a spot. We originally found a spot up the road a little bit. We walked the road and was like, oh, we like that spot better. So we just drove down here, and here we are.
Having said that, that could also potentially be a con because we are one of 3 up here on this side of the bluffs right now, which is ideal. We haven't really seen the neighbors other than a distant wave. But at the same token, we could have gotten up here and it could have been really, really full. So do have a backup location in place. There are campgrounds here in South Dakota that are open, I believe. I'm not sure, so always check before you go. But make use of your apps. Campendium never lets you down. They're doing a great job of staying up to date.
They are doing a great job, absolutely. Pro number 3, Amy.
It's peaceful here in the wide open air.
It is very.
We're not worried about our neighbors. There's no one disrespecting our space or maybe not approaching life in Corona world the same way we are. We're on our own. And we've gotten a lot of work done. Alexis has gotten a lot of work done while she's here with us. There's just no interruptions. The dogs have it made. They're able to be off leash quite a bit and just roam in the prairie.
Oh, you stole my number 4. Number 4, the dogs can run free.
Well, Gatsby can.
Okay.
If your dog is good off leash, they can run free. There is a lot of wildlife in the area, particularly with the big spring. So you know your dog better than we do. You make decisions yourself. Let's talk about some of the cons of dispersed camping. I'll kick this one off with a confession that's going to deeply disturb my mother. I have not showered in 2 days, and I think I've been wearing the shirt for 3.
Water conservation, which is not a bad thing. That's a pro too. But yes, you have to watch, especially with the amount of water you're using, and
we have to approach things very consciously and not be absent-minded about it. I think deep down we all know we take endless water supply for granted. But we don't know how much we take it for granted until you're living on limited water. So do we have enough water to shower? We do. And we are all going to shower tonight. Know your tanks. We know that on our current tank capacity, because we are in a much smaller rig that's built for 2, even though we're carrying 3, we can get 6 showers out of our water capacity. What's another con on dispersed camping?
Power. So it's awesome when you're at a campground and you plug everything in and you don't worry about running 2 air conditionings, everything else. On this trip, I installed solar.
Jim harnessed the sun.
We've really been putting that to the test. And yet yesterday, we did have to pull the generator out, top off the batteries. Today, sunny day, charge the batteries all together. So we're trying to work that out. So we do run with the generator. We could run a lot more power if we ran the generator, but our ultimate goal is not to run the generator.
Yeah, all in all that to say, for us, it's more pros than cons. Where the pros at least outweigh the cons, so we really love it. It's not for everyone. We know people that really enjoy a good KOA, and there is nothing wrong with that. You get to do it your way. But in a world where we're trying to stay socially separated, trying to play things a little safe, dispersed camping is a great choice.
Absolutely. And it's why we went smaller. It is, it's the type of RV that speaks to us.
So what's coming up next? We're headed into Wyoming. As I told a family member of mine, the middle of nowhere is the prettiest in Wyoming. So we're going to start heading that direction. We keep talking about how small our rig is. We're going to let you on the inside of that. We're going to show you a little more. How small is too small? And we'll show you some behind the scenes of the mess we got going on in there. But speaking of messes, Jim, we've made one.
We've got a lot to clean up, so let's get it together so we pull out tomorrow morning.
Let's pack her up. See you soon.